What up, guys? Happy Monday to everyone out there listening to this week's episode of your favorite podcast, Chiquis and Chill. You guys are seriously my favorite people in the entire world. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you more than you know. Okay, so it's no secret that June and July have been pretty big months for me. Shout out to all the Cancers out there. I celebrated 2 major milestones, guys. I entered a brand new decade, El Cuarto Piso. And I also celebrated my 1-year anniversary, my wedding anniversary. You guys believe it? It's been a year already? Anyway, Emilio and I wanted to celebrate the 2 in a really big way. So we packed up our things and flew all the way across the world. Before we get into all of that, let me tell you guys about my birthday celebrations because that was exciting. I celebrated my birthday with my friends. Very, very intimate gathering. That was phenomenal. I have to tell you guys, that's a whole other episode. We just had a great time that night with my friends, and I stayed up till 4 a.m, guys. So that was on Saturday, right before I left. And then on Sunday, Emilio took me to go get a massage, to get our nails done. And all while we were out, my siblings were at the house preparing. My siblings and Emilio's family, they surprised me at home with a pool party. It was a very chill barbecue. My sister Jenica made smashed burgers and hot dogs, and it was really cute. They sang happy birthday. Really, really nice. The next day, we flew out to Egypt. Okay, this flight, I've never been to Egypt. I had never thought about going to Egypt, guys, to be honest. Like, it wasn't really on my bucket list. I started getting into Egypt because of Emilio. He loves history, and I love history too, but just in a different way. But anyway, we have watched a lot of documentaries. We love documentaries. And Egypt was like top, especially for Emilio, because he's been wanting to go to Egypt since he was 5 years old. After one of his uncles went and brought him back a little mini mummy in its like tomb. He still has it, by the way. And so anyway, he's the one that got me into it, into the pyramids and the pharaohs and the whole thing. And I really did it more for him. I don't think he even knows this. I was like, I do want to go because it's Africa. That's the motherland of the world, guys. There's so much. I just wanted to feel God's presence, to be honest. I'm like, where can I go? That's so much history. And I'm like, oh my gosh, of course, Egypt. Emilio's been wanting to go. F it. I'm not going to lie. I was a little scared. My brother, Mikey, was like, sister, please don't go. A war just started. I don't know, where you guys are going to go to Sharm El-Sheikh, because I have to tell you guys exactly all that, is on the border. It shares a border with Israel. And I told Emilio, I was like, look, I'm not scared because I'm like, if I leave tomorrow, I know I'm going to heaven. I'm first class to heaven. I'm good. I'm not worried. Are you worried? And usually he's a little bit more cautious. And he's like, honestly, babe, no, I've talked to my friends in Egypt and, he knows a couple of people and he's like, they're totally fine. They're a very, very peaceful country. So I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. This is like a day before. We were like, okay, are we going to cancel or not? But anyway, we get on the flight and it was great. We stopped in Paris because it was a straight shot to Paris. And that was I think like a 7-hour flight. And then we had a layover in Paris for a few hours. And then from there, we went to Egypt, which was another, I think, 4-hour flight from Paris to Egypt. So our first stop in Egypt was Cairo. We landed around 3 a.m. it was, like 2:30, almost 3 a.m. And I was a little nervous because I didn't know what to expect. Everyone was telling me, cover your shoulders. They don't like tattoos. They're a very, very conservative country. And I was like, okay, all my wardrobe was just that. I was like, I'm going to cover up even if it's hot. And Emilio was a little nervous because he's like, if I didn't have you, I'd be fine, but I'm like worried about you. But I'm never really scared of anything. Like, it's weird. I was like, okay, cool. Like, we'll freaking figure this out. Like, that's been the motto of my entire life since I was little. I'm going to figure it out. But when we got there, everything goes smoothly. Like, we went through customs. It was fine. They just asked Emilio if he smoked weed or CBD. I don't know why, because there was a bunch of people and they handpicked him. I'm assuming because of his tattoos, to be honest. And that's what his friend told him later. It's like, it's probably because of your tattoos. And then some people told us while we were on our tours that he looked like a guy that smoked weed. I was like, how does a guy that smokes weed look? We go to our hotel. We get to our hotel. A very nice hotel right on the Nile, guys. It was so nice. I told myself, I was like, if I'm going to take this trip, I want to be comfortable. So we stayed at the Four Seasons, and I wanted a Four Seasons or a Hilton or something like that because it's something I'm familiar with. Just in case I didn't like the food, I knew for sure we would be able to eat well in the hotel because that's very important. Food is very important to me. So anyway, we get to the hotel, everything's fine. By this time, it's like almost 4 a.m. and we check in and we're unpacking and we realize that we're missing one of Emilio's luggages. And he starts stressing out. And I'm like, it's okay, babe. It's fine. I'm like, I remember, I know we have it. I don't know where it is, but I know that we brought it from home. That I'll tell you. Anyway, we go back to the airport and we're looking all around. How they let us back into the terminal, I have no idea. Because obviously there's like a language barrier, but they let us back in and we were looking everywhere and we did not find it. It was nowhere to be found. I started praying. I was like, God, this is where the chunk of his clothing is. I was like, this is gonna ruin our trip. I was like, God, please help us. And then all of a sudden we're about to walk out and then this guy whistles and he's like, come here. And I'm like, oh, they found it. And they found it, guys. The guy was like, is it this one? And I'm like, oh, you are so good, God. Like, I swear, guys. I was like, I told him, I was like, don't worry. I was like, we're going to find it. So I guess we forgot it. Once you get it off of like the little luggage band thing, and then we have to put it, like in Mexico, they do this too. They put it through like a secondary security detector, like the metal detector things. And someone was kind of rushing us, the person behind us. So I think we were just a little flustered and tired and we forgot one. We forgot it there. So anywho, we go back to the hotel and we go to sleep around 6 a.m. The freaking sun was out, guys. And let me tell you, Cairo is a city that doesn't sleep. I'm telling you, we landed around 3 a.m. We got to our room and it was party central. Music everywhere, lights. It was freaking popping. So at 6 a.m., when we get back to the room, people were barely, I feel like, going to sleep. And so were we. I was so jet lagged, though. I was so exhausted. I didn't even know what day I was living, what day of the week it was. We woke up around 1 p.m. Emilio was like so excited to go out and just see something. He had a whole day planned for us. And I'm like, babe, honestly, like, I need a day to get acclimated. Like, I just need to like really figure this out. He's like, okay, but we can't sleep all day because if we sleep all day, then we're not going to be able to sleep at night. So I forced myself to get up and we went to have lunch right in front of the pyramids, guys. It was so beautiful. I posted a TikTok on that because it was just, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it looked fake. And the food was good. I did not eat anything bad there. Everything is so clean. It's Mediterranean food. So we had like a lot of what looks like pita to us. It's called Egyptian bread or Lebanese bread. A lot of hummus, tahini, a lot of chicken. It was really, really good. The food was not a problem for me. Egyptian food or the food at the hotel, everything was great. And then we went on our tours the next day. So Egypt was a little bit more of not so vacation-y because I'm used to waking up at home at 5 a.m. And that's basically what I was doing in Egypt. So that was a little hard for me because I'm like, okay, I'm on vacation. I want to sleep in. I don't want to put on an alarm. But then I was very grateful. Once I was on the tour, we had our own personal tour guide who spoke perfect English and was really, really good. The first day we went to the pyramids and just to see, like they were just so, I don't even know what the word is. I don't know if it was impactful or overwhelming with like energy going to those pyramids and walking into a pyramid or down because you're basically walking into a tomb. And one thing I want to say, because a lot of people have said, who made the pyramids? Who built them? Were they the aliens, etc., or were they slaves? Our tour guide said that definitely they were people. They were not slaves. These people basically for 25 years, that was their life purpose. For them, it was, I was born to build this pyramid for the king because it'll get me closer to God. That's kind of the whole gist of it. So he's like, they were never slaves. Everyone was happy to do it. It was their passion. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better because I'm not going to lie. I went there like, okay, maybe aliens did make the pyramids, you know? But it was beautiful how they explained it. And just to see how intelligent they were, like even the dialect, like I wonder what it sounded like, you know? But because it's all in hieroglyphics, you know, that's how they expressed themselves and told all these stories and left their book on stone, guys. It was just insane. And again, they didn't have social media, they didn't have telephones or televisions, anything that kept them from focusing on anything other than their faith and the stars. They were so connected to the stars, to astrology. And imagine, like, I would close my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, just imagine how there was no pollution. The stars were probably like so bright and so clear. The sky was so clear. Like, of course, because yes, the pyramids are aligned to the stars and certain, you know, Emilio knows more about it. I wish I had him on this episode so he can tell you guys, but oh my gosh, you should have seen Emilio's face. He was in heaven, guys. He was in ecstasy the entire time we were in Egypt. He just had all the energy in the world. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to get him out of bed here because he's not an early bird like me. And over there, he was like ready to go. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And me, I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to sleep a little bit. But then when I was on the tours again, I was fine. It was so freaking hot. I got such a nice tan. Everything was amazing. Like the tours were long, the days were long. So by the time we got to our room, I was super exhausted. We were in Cairo for like 5 days. We went to Alexandria and it had really, really beautiful monuments there. And, you know, the history was just amazing. It's so much better than reading it in like your history books because you have someone like speaking to you and giving you a visual. It's just, I was so into it. It's crazy. And then we went to Luxor. Luxor for sure had to be my favorite. Cairo's awesome. It's very city, very lively. We didn't party or anything in Cairo because we were tired. But for my birthday, we had a really nice like dinner and stuff. But it was more really just to sightsee and just see the history and feel the energy there in Egypt. And then we went to Luxor. And Luxor for sure, for me, was beautiful. Like it was, I mean, the colors, guys, that we saw in these tombs that have been there for over 3,000 years. And they're still vibrant because, again, these tombs are underground. There's like no sunlight. So they preserve. And just to see how, like, how it all was done and why it was done. And I learned about so many pharaohs, you know, and of course we all know about King Tut, you know, the boy king, and about Cleopatra, but I learned about a pharaoh and her name was Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut. The reason I remember that is be like, okay, just remember hat and then a ship and then a suit. So Hatshepsut, and she was actually the first female pharaoh, guys, before Cleopatra. And she took the throne from her nephew slash stepson. So I'm assuming she married her brother and she took the throne from her nephew slash stepson. And she was the very first, very powerful. She ruled Egypt for, I believe it was 17 years, 17 or 25. I can't remember. I learned about so many different pharaohs, but for sure she's my favorite. She is buried in the Valley of Kings. The only woman that is buried in the Valley of Kings. And you know, that's what I'm all about. I was like, ooh, this girl was breaking freaking barriers, and she would go out into like the public and dress as a man. I'm assuming a lot of people knew she was a woman, but I think the public did not know. So she would disguise herself as a man. So anyway, I thought she was very interesting. So anywho, that is a little bit about the history and what I learned. So I will tell you, people were nice. I never felt scared, to be honest. I started feeling more and more comfortable as days went by. Again, I thought that I was supposed to go and not show my shoulders or anything like that. And I was fine. Of course, like showing too much cleavage or being too, you know, provocative and having too much of like tight clothing is a little frowned upon. But then I saw other girls and that I for sure were tourists and they were like in booty shorts and the whole thing. and people do stare a little bit more and you draw attention that you don't want. So I was happy to kind of I just want to show my shoulders a little bit because it was hot as hell, guys. It was so hot. It was like in the hundreds. The sun hit different, like so different. So I for sure was just happy to like breathe because there was no way. I was like, I'm gonna be covered the entire time. Emilio wanted me to put like a little scarf around my head, and he just thinks it looks really cool when they have their, and I don't know what Emilio knows. I forgot the name of them, but when they cover their hair and their eyes and stuff, I didn't know what to expect. I was going out there with like an open heart and an open mind, and I just now see the world differently. Like they're very nice. They're actually very respectful. Emilio's friend who lives out there, I met his wife and their child, and they were so nice. Like he would say hello to me with a handshake. They're not allowed to touch other women, which I think is kind of cool, you know. And his wife was covered, and she was just so sweet. And you think, oh, they're submissive, but in reality, like no, she was very like just normal, I guess, you know? And I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, they love their religion. And a lot of people would tell me, like, okay, don't tell anyone that you're American out there. Mind you, a lot of the stuff that's happening here in America is one thing, but they actually love Americans. Like, I thought, okay, they don't like Americans and this and that. Like, I'm sure there are a handful of people that don't, but everyone was really nice and they love Mexico as well. And everyone, not everyone, but a good percentage, I want to say at least 20 or 30% of the population speak Spanish. Like Spanish is huge out there. Like Emilio kept saying, oh my gosh, they speak better Spanish than I do. So it was awesome. The food was amazing. I felt like I de-bloated. It's crazy because I was having so much bread, so much rice, so many carbs, guys. And I don't know if it's because I was walking a lot or because they don't have a lot of preservatives and additives in their food, but I felt like I just felt good. I felt like I ate all these things that I usually don't eat out here. And I felt really nice. Like my tummy was doing well. I drank like water there and I was fine. It was an amazing experience, guys. And then we went to Sharm El-Sheikh. We ended our Egypt trip there at the Red Sea, guys. Just FYI, you know, the Red Sea is not red. Just kidding. It's the bluest freaking ocean sea I have ever seen in my entire life. It was so beautiful. Like I just close my eyes and go back there. It was so amazing, guys. The water was salty as heck, but so clear. And I got lost. I was snorkeling and I would just get lost in looking at all the fish, so many different colors, so many different like types. And just to see, like, it literally is another world down there, like in the sea. It was just so beautiful. I was like my favorite because then I didn't have to put on, I didn't have to put on an alarm. I slept in, we slept in. It was phenomenal. The way Emilio planned it, because he planned it for us, was great. Like all of our tours. On our first tour, I will say I rode a camel. I will. I feel a little bit better about riding a camel than like an elephant. Even like the horse carriages, I feel worse getting on those like in New York than the camel because I feel like that's kind of what they're made for. And I made sure that I was like, okay, do you feed your camel? I asked, he was so nice. His name was Happy, the guy that helped us. And his camel was named Charlie. I'll never forget because his voice, the way he would say, he's like, okay, Charlie, come on, Charlie. So anyway, it was very nice. It was a great experience. It was very scary. I don't think I ever need to do it again. Just because to get on and get off of the camel, you're literally like facing down. Like you can fall on your face and like it's a pretty freaking, they're high. They're freaking tall. But it was a nice experience and Emilio rode one and it was nice. And I was a little worried about sharing it, but I'm like, I don't want to lie either, you know? What else? I think those are the things. I mean, just seeing all the artifacts. We brought a bunch back. We spent a lot on the artifacts. We literally just opened them this morning. Emilio opened these 2 big boxes that we got shipped of like King Tut and all these things that we bought because Emilio wants a whole room of just Egyptian stuff, which I'm supporting him 100%. So yeah, there was no way I was going to be able to pack that in my luggage because, of course, your girl packed and overpacked. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, guys. I told myself, I was like, okay, I know how many days I'm going to be there. I usually like to take 2 changes a day, and I probably took like 4 for each day. I don't know how and why that happened, to the point where I had 3 luggages. Emilio had 2. And then we had our little carry-ons. Okay. So it was pretty crazy, and they were all very heavy. And I had to leave a luggage with Kim, an extra luggage just for Paris that was going to be sent with my docu-follow because they met us out in Paris. And I'll get to that right now. But I did overpack, and there was no way these artifacts were going to fit in any of my bags. They were so heavy. So it all worked out. It was amazing. And if I can give anyone advice, is if you're going to go on tours, get a tour guide, because there is a lot of hustling out there. And what I mean by that is they will be very nice. And we experienced this, and it was very disappointing. Towards the end of my trip, I started getting very frustrated, and I was being vocal about it because I didn't really feel like they see women as less, to be honest. They really like respect women. And there are places where women are not allowed to go. That's just part of their religion, and I understand that. But I never felt like I shouldn't talk. Emilio was a little worried about me talking to like certain men. But with time, it just didn't feel like that. Like I didn't feel like I couldn't. And that's not really me. So I was like, I'm just going to be myself. I'm not doing anything wrong. Some men wouldn't look at me in my eyes when I was talking. They would just like direct themselves to Emilio. Again, that's all part of the religion. And it's more of a respect thing, I think, towards the other man, not necessarily like, oh, we look down on women. But anyway, back to the hustling, because hustling was a big turnoff for me. You give them 10 pounds and they're like, no, this isn't enough. I need more. I want dollars. Like they'll tell you I want dollars. Or they'll be like, oh, we'll help you. And we're like, no, we don't need any help. It's fine. Like, no worries. I don't want any money. That's exactly what they say. And then all of a sudden they help you and they're like, hey, give me money. And we're like, well, you just said we don't have any money. They're like, well, you need to go to the ATM. Like this is too little. Or like they did that to us at the airport. It was pretty frustrating. I had to tell the guy when we were going to Paris, the guy that was helping us at the counter, even in the airport, we gave him money and he's like, no, more. I want more. And I said, no, I'm not giving you more. No, this is your job. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm all about tipping. I love tipping. But if you give me good service, and also don't be that way. So I was pissed. I'm not going to lie. Emilio was like, I'm glad you said something, because Emilio's very nice and very patient. And so am I. But also I don't like to be like pressured into things. So that's one thing for sure. Take a tour guide, someone from a company, someone that, is going to help you, because the guides do help with the other hustlers out on the streets. So before we go to Paris, I will tell you that I got recognized in Egypt by an Egyptian guy. We were at the airport heading to Paris, actually, and I hear someone say, Chiquis. Mind you, I had been in Egypt for 2 weeks and no one had noticed me, nothing. And then this guy starts putting he makes a little heart with his hands. He's like, Chiquis. And I'm like, oh, hi. And I'm like, you know me? And he's like, yeah, I follow you on Facebook. I love everything you do. And I'm like, you understand what I'm saying, like in Spanish? He's like, no, but I follow you. I'm like, are you Egyptian? And he said, yeah, I was born and raised here. And I was tripping out, guys. For me, I was like, it even made my eyes water, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like someone knows me in Egypt. It was the craziest thing. And again, I had been there for 2 weeks, and just to hear someone say Chiquis, it was just the weirdest and craziest thing. But anyway, now we're going to fly to Paris. So Paris was my absolute favorite. I loved Egypt. They're so different, night and day. But I love Paris, you guys. Oh my gosh. I fell in love just to see how present people are and how engaged they are in conversation. Again, people were like, oh, people from France are very, very rude. There are rude and grumpy people all over the world. I didn't experience that. Maybe a couple people, but then you just smile at them and it's fine. Everyone is just so present. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I would sit there and just people watch. Like, I would just watch everyone, and it felt like everyone was in a movie. Like, they were having, of course, their own conversations, and people were just so happy. And It was 11 o'clock at night and there were girls walking by themselves, smoking a cigarette, looking so cute. The fashion is everything out there, guys. Like the food was phenomenal. There, I felt like there was a little bit more of like a language barrier because they would speak to me in French and I would just, because all I knew was bonjour, merci, which is thank you, excuse-moi, which is excuse me, and that's it. So I don't know if it's because people thought I looked French because I got that a few times, but I would just look at them like I have no idea what's going on. But they all kind of spoke English. And again, we managed. But it was awesome, guys. The food, oh my gosh, the cafes, the bread, everything was just so good. The pasta, oh my gosh, I'm not a huge pasta person. And oh my goodness, that's another place where I was just carving it up. And I did not feel bad about it at all. The butter was so perfect and so soft. And the coffee, everything was just delightful. Delightful. The only thing was the very last day, Emilio wanted to take me to a very romantic dinner right next to the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was great. I can't wait for you guys to watch Chiquis Sin Filtro because you guys are going to see something special that we did. We were in the Eiffel Tower. But I can't say too much about that. You guys have to wait. But for this last dinner we had, we were right next to the Eiffel Tower and Emilio wanted to surprise me. And everything had gone great. Amazing. Every dinner, every lunch, everything was amazing up until this dinner. The view, phenomenal. We took amazing pictures with the Eiffel Tower, super lit up, just all of the Instagram pictures, right? That I still haven't posted. I still need to post everything. But the food, oh my gosh. We had the choice between a 5, a 6, and an 8-course meal. And of course, I chose the 8 because they had like oysters just on the 8th, on like the 8-course one, right? And I was like, I really want the oysters, babe. So he's like, okay, I'm not really hungry and I don't think this place is going to be good because I could just already tell. And then the guy's like, okay, you both have to get the same. Like, so he was just like really annoyed about that. But oh my gosh, guys, the food was not good at all. And it was super expensive. And I think they just take advantage. It's for sure a tourist trap. And I'm like, why can't they just have good food? Because even if you're a local and you have this view, I would keep coming if the food was good. Like, I'm never going to go to that restaurant ever again. So Emilio was saying, he's like, we started off rough and then we ended off rough, but everything in between was amazing. Our freaking trip was great. 3 weeks, had never taken a trip this long, you guys. I spent a lot. I definitely did. I was like, okay, this is my 40th. This is my first year being married. My first year anniversary. I've never been married for a year. I was like, so I'm going to celebrate this. But it was just worth it. It was worth it. And I never felt homesick. My friends kept asking me because they know me for years. They're like, are you homesick? I'm like, no. And I'm like, it's because my home is Emilio. And I know that sounds so like cliche, but I did not feel homesick. Like I started missing my routine towards the end. I'm like, I want to go to the gym. I want to wake up. I want to do my, my ice face dunk, that kind of stuff. And that's what I missed. And my pho. I really wanted pho, Asian food. But we got some Asian food in Paris and it was freaking phenomenal. But yeah, it was great. It was 3 weeks, a little too long. But then again, because we were moving from city to city, it was fine. But yeah, I want to move to Paris, guys. Like I want to move to Paris. I already looked into like, I made friends out there, by the way, and I looked into apartments and they're not that crazy expensive. So it is something I'm really thinking about. Like it was just so enchanting. That's the word for Paris, enchanting. Like people, the fashion, just the energy, guys. Like, oh, it was just, every street was so cute and adorable. Like it was just so nice. And then I could eat all the carbs I want and not gain weight. Oh, it's perfect for me. But anyway, guys, that's it. I'm just gonna wrap it up here because I know this is a very long episode, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a gist of what my trip was like and how amazing it was. And I'm sure I'm missing so many different details, but as I remember, I will mention everything on at least one or two or all of the episodes on Chiquis and Chill because this is a trip I'm never going to forget, ever. And I think we want to go back for sure to the beach part of Egypt, Sharm El-Sheikh, and I'm going to Paris for sure. I want to go back in September for Fashion Week, by the way. They invited me. What, bitch? I'm excited. Okay, guys. So that's it. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for coming on to Chiquis and Chill, to learn, to grow, and to glow. I love you. This is a production of iHeartRadio and the My Cultura Podcast Network. Follow us on Instagram at My Cultura Podcast and follow me, Chiquis, that's CHIQUIS. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.